You say you want to live a life of purpose. You speak of discipline, of drive, of sacrifice. But let me ask you something. What time did you wake up this morning? That's right. Don't avert your eyes now. Don't try to cover up your negligence with empty phrases. You want to conquer the world, but can't even conquer your own bed. You want to achieve great things, but you sleep through the very hours where greatness is forged. Then I tell you the truth. Your dream is nothing more than a lie you tell yourself to feel better about your laziness. What we do in secret tells the truth about who we really are. Not the words we post, not the goals we proclaim, not the persona we craft, but the small decisions, the seemingly insignificant habits. That's where the soul is revealed. And I am telling you now, when you choose to stay in bed, when you choose slumber over discipline, when you choose comfort over conquest, that is not some neutral decision. That is a choice to waste the breath you are given. That is a choice to bury your talent in the ground. Some of you wake up late and say, well, I didn't have anything urgent to do today. As if purpose waits for convenience. As if calling only applies when it fits your mood. Don't you see, the moment your eyes open in the morning, you are in a battle. And whether or not you feel like fighting doesn't change the fact that war has been declared over your soul, your time, your destiny. And I'm not talking about some productivity hack. This is not about being efficient for efficiency's sake. This is not about making 6 figures or climbing some corporate ladder. This is about stewardship. You have been given hours. You have been given strength. You have been given mornings. What have you done with them? To waste time is to mock the giver of time. To sleep through the morning is to sleep through the very altar where your character is formed. You want to be a man or woman of integrity, wake up early. You want to stand firm in trials, wake up early. You want to lead, to serve, to build something that will last, wake up early. You cannot live a radical life with a lazy schedule. You cannot change your generation when you are still in bed at 10 in the morning. You cannot break chains while you hit the snooze button for the 5th time. You have to stop this game, this pretending, this soft-coddled, self-pitying form of living. You say you're tired. Of course you're tired, because you're not aligned. You're not walking in purpose. You're sleeping through the very season that was designed to strengthen you. The morning hours were made for sharpening. They were made for quiet, for discipline, for sacrifice, for focus. And you've traded them for the shallow comforts of sleep. That's not just a poor decision. That's betrayal. Discipline is not legalism. Don't confuse the two. Discipline is the response of a heart that knows the value of what it's been given. Discipline says, my life is not my own. These hours were entrusted to me, and I will not squander them. The undisciplined life is not free. It is enslaved, enslaved to the flesh, enslaved to laziness, enslaved to mediocrity. But the disciplined life, that's where freedom is found. That's where peace is found. That's where power is found. Some of you have built an entire theology around your lack of motivation. You've spiritualized your procrastination. You've baptized your laziness in shallow justification. I'm just not a morning person. Oh really? Who told you that? Where did you read that? What voice have you submitted to that lets you believe that lie? You were made for more. You were made to rise. You were made to stand against the tide, to do what others refuse to do, to rise while others sleep, to fight while others drift. This generation is obsessed with comfort. It worships convenience. It bows to feelings. But those who change the world, those who leave a mark, those who walk with conviction, they do not bend to sleepiness. They do not bow to fatigue. They rise, and they rise early, not because it feels good, not because it's easy, but because they know the cost of compromise. They know the weight of wasting hours, and they refuse to be owned by the weakness of the flesh. Do you understand what is at stake? Every morning you stay in bed past the call of duty. You reinforce the idea that you are not in control of your life. You submit to your moods. You surrender to your cravings. You teach yourself that comfort is king. And what is the fruit of that life? Regret, stagnation, decay. And don't you dare complain about the state of your life while you're still hitting snooze. You cannot sow comfort and reap strength. You cannot plant passivity and expect purpose. You are not made to drift. You are not made to float through life on a mattress of emotion. You were made to build, to strive, to rise up before the sun and say, I will not waste this day. I will not let these hours slip through my fingers like sand. Every minute you are given is a gift, and gifts demand responsibility. It's not that waking up early is the point. No, waking up early is just the signpost that you have your life in order, that you are not ruled by the whims of the flesh, that you are walking with intention, that you are no longer asleep. In your habits, in your mind, in your calling, the alarm goes off. That's your moment. That's your test. That's your battlefield. And every time you get up, truly get up, you declare war against the part of you that wants to stay small, that wants to stay weak, that wants to stay asleep. You deny yourself, and in doing so, you grow. You overcome. You prove that you're serious. And if you cannot overcome in the small hours of the morning, how will you ever overcome when the storm hits? If you cannot get out of bed, how will you carry the weight of responsibility, of leadership, of impact? There is no shortcut to maturity. There is no hack to becoming who you were meant to be. It's early mornings. It's private choices. It's blood and sweat and prayer and silence. It's the things no one sees. That's where greatness is made, not in applause, not in recognition, not in reward, but in discipline, in obscurity, in the unseen battles. This world needs people who are awake. Awake in mind, awake in heart, awake in time, but the problem is too many are asleep, and they don't even know it. They are sleepwalking through life, going through the motions, existing, not living, consuming, not creating. They wait for the right moment, the perfect feeling, the easy path. But those who are truly alive, they don't wait. They don't sleep through their purpose. They rise, they run, they fight. I don't care if you're not naturally a morning person. That doesn't matter. Discipline is not about what comes naturally. It's about what is necessary, what is right. And if you would rather stay in bed than rise up to become the person you were born to be, then at least have the honesty to admit that. Stop pretending you want to live a powerful life if you are still letting your emotions make your decisions. Some of you will hear this and get angry. That's fine. It's not because I've offended you. It's because you know it's true. Because deep down, you feel the weight of the hours you've wasted. You feel the sting of time slipping away while you sleep it off. But don't let guilt make you bitter. Let it make you better. Let it wake you up. Let it drive you to change. Let it push you to rise tomorrow morning with fire in your chest and steel in your spine. I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm asking you to fight, to not roll over when the alarm sounds, to not give in to the seductive voice of just 5 more minutes. Those 5 minutes, they become 10, then 20, then a lifetime of delay. And the only way to kill that voice is to starve it, to cut it off, to rise with purpose, to stand up with a sense of calling, to say, no more, not today. I'm done sleeping through my life. You don't need another strategy. You don't need another motivational podcast. You need to decide who you want to be, decide what kind of life you want to live, and then prove it in the morning. Prove it when the sky is still dark and your bed feels like a sanctuary. Prove it when your flesh says no, but your spirit says yes. That's when your character is revealed. That's when your life begins to change. Every great life begins with a decision. and that decision is made daily, often before the sun rises. That's where the war is fought, that's where the soul is shaped, that's where destiny is forged, in the silence, in the cold, in the dark, when you choose to rise. When you choose to say, I will not sleep through my calling, I will not drift through my rising early, is not just about time management, it's about proving mastery over comfort, emotion, and laziness. It reflects a life lived with intention, responsibility, and commitment to something greater than self. The choice to get up or stay in bed may seem minor, but it reveals your character. Transformation begins in private, unseen battles, and greatness is forged in consistent, early morning sacrifice. Waking up early is a sign of discipline and purpose. It is not a habit developed through mere preference or mood. It is a deliberate decision, one that goes against the flesh, against comfort, and against the prevailing spirit of this age. It is a resistance to the gravitational pull of apathy. It is a cry of the soul that says, my time is not mine to waste. My hours are not disposable. My life has a mission, and I will not delay it another moment. Waking up early is not just about what you do. It is about who you are becoming, and this is the truth many do not want to face. They want purpose without sacrifice. They want discipline without cost. They want strength without struggle, but it doesn't work like that. Nothing of worth comes without the tearing of the flesh, without the denial of self, without the training of the soul. The early morning hours are not glamorous. They are not loud. They are quiet, painful, raw, but they are where transformation happens. Alarm clock is not just a sound, it is a test. Every single morning, the war begins before you even open your eyes, and in that moment, you are faced with a decision to rise or to fall back, to choose your calling or to choose your comfort, and most will fall. Most will say, just 5 more minutes. Most will convince themselves that sleep is more valuable than the time they've been given. But those who have purpose burning in their bones will rise, not because it's easy, not because it feels good, but because they know what is at stake. Discipline is not natural, it is supernatural. It is the result of a mind that has been trained, of a body that has been mastered, of a spirit that has been refined in the furnace of obedience. It is the evidence of someone who does not live according to what they feel, but according to what they've decided. And that is what waking up early is. It is a decision, repeated day after day, even when everything in you wants to quit. Especially then, there is a lie that has spread through modern culture, and it says, do what feels right. Follow your feelings. Rest when you're tired. Wait until you're ready, but that is the path to ruin. That is the road to weakness. That is the wide gate that leads to mediocrity, because you will never feel ready. You will never feel like getting up before the sun. You will never feel like trading your comfort for sacrifice. But discipline do not wait for the right feeling. They move forward regardless, and that's why they are rare. What you do in the first hour of your day reveals your priorities. It reveals what you believe about yourself, your mission, your responsibility. The disciplined man or woman does not see time as something to kill. They see it as something to guard, to invest, to redeem. To wake up early is to say with your life, I will not be ruled by my flesh. I will not surrender to the tyranny of comfort. I will get up, I will move, I will act, because I am not here to waste what has been given. It is easy to look at successful, driven people and admire the fruit of their lives while rejecting the root of their habits. But fruit does not grow in shallow soil. Fruit is the result of planting, watering, pruning, waiting. It is the result of decisions made in silence, of sacrifices no one sees, of battles fought in the private arena of morning discipline. You want what they have, then do what they do. Rise when the world sleeps. Work while others dream. Train when no one is watching. Waking up early is a blow to the ego. It says, I don't matter most. It says, my comfort is not my God. It forces you to lay down the idol of ease and pick up the cross of responsibility. That is why so many resist it, not because they are too busy, not because they are night owls, but because they do not want to be inconvenienced, they don't want to suffer, they don't want to stretch themselves, and so they choose a life of avoidance, of delay, of spiritual drowsiness. But the man or woman of discipline understands that life is short, that hours are not infinite, that every morning spent in laziness is a morning you never get back. They wake with a sense of urgency, not anxiety. They rise not to perform, but to prepare. They know that greatness is not found in talent or charisma, but in consistency, in the daily showing up, in the daily dying to self, in the daily rising with purpose. Some say, I'm just not wired for early mornings. But let's be honest, you're not wired for greatness either, not in your natural state. No one is born disciplined. No one is born with mastery over their will. You must train for it. You must labor for it. You must go to war against your own excuses, and the battlefield is your morning. That's where the first shot is fired. That's where the enemy of comfort raises its voice and demands your surrender. And most of you are surrendering before the day has even started. You cannot walk in purpose while living in passivity. You cannot expect results from a life of reaction. Waking up early says, I will no longer let life happen to me. I will happen to life. It's a declaration, a stance, a line drawn in the sand. It separates those who live with aim from those who live with accident. The early riser takes responsibility for their mind, their time, their energy. They own their life, and there is a sacredness to those early hours. Not because of the clock, but because of the cost. The stillness of the morning becomes a sanctuary where excuses are silenced and the soul is laid bare. It's not loud, it's not flashy, it's sacred. You learn to listen, you learn to reflect, you learn to prepare before the noise of the world begins, before the opinions start flying, before the distractions pile up. You meet yourself in the quiet, and you find out who you really are. Waking early is not about achieving more. It's about becoming more. It's about rejecting the identity of sloth, of confusion, of wasted potential. It's about embracing clarity, strength, order, the kind of clarity that sees beyond the fog of feelings, the kind of strength that is forged when no one is watching, the kind of order that builds a life brick by brick. This is not productivity for vanity. This is stewardship. This is obedience. If you can master your mornings, you can master your days. If you can master your days, you can master your life. But it begins where no one sees. It begins in that quiet war between the alarm and your will. And every day you win that war, your soul becomes sharper, your spine straighter, your purpose clearer, your voice stronger. It compounds, it grows, it multiplies. But it starts with a single act of defiance against the tyranny of the bed. People love to talk about dreams, about calling, about changing the world. But few are willing to do what it takes to live that out. They want the fruit without the fight. They want the influence without the inconvenience. But waking up early is where you start proving your seriousness. If you cannot do the hard thing in the morning, don't fool yourself into thinking you'll do the hard thing when it really counts. You must rewire your thinking. Stop asking, do I feel like getting up? That question is irrelevant. The flesh will never feel like sacrifice. Start asking, what is required of me? That question will change your life, because purpose doesn't cater to your feelings. Discipline doesn't wait for desire. It acts, it obeys, it shows up, it suffers well. Some mornings you'll rise with fire. Other mornings you'll rise with nothing but grit. But rise anyway. That's where the transformation happens, in the rising, in the obedience, in the repetition of what is right. Even when your body aches, even when your mind resists, Even when your heart is heavy, get up, keep getting up, keep killing the flesh, keep silencing the excuses, because the man or woman who owns morning owns their life. Do not despise the hidden places. That's where character is built. That's where strength is forged. The reward does not come immediately. There is no applause at 5 a.m. There is no crowd cheering your alarm. But in that secret obedience, something eternal is being formed in you. The foundations of a powerful life are laid when no one is watching, and the early morning is your construction site. So many are sleepwalking through their lives, not just physically, but spiritually, emotionally, mentally. They drift, they float, they wait. They hope that motivation will strike like lightning, but it won't. That's not how it works. You must wake yourself, shake yourself, stir yourself. You must take responsibility for your formation. You must put your hand to the plow in the early hours, while the sky is still dark. There is power in that discipline, a hidden power that seeps into every area of your life. When you wake early, you start the day ahead. Not just ahead in time, but ahead in spirit. You have prepared while others slept. You have strengthened yourself while others stayed weak. You have trained your will to lead, not follow, and that leadership, that edge, becomes a force that cannot be ignored. This is not about perfection. It's about pursuit. It's about progress. It's about saying, I will not live another day in passive surrender to my own impulses. I will rise with purpose. I will meet the morning with resolve. And over time, your life begins to align. Your thoughts sharpen. Your priorities shift. Your body follows your spirit. And you become what you were always meant to be. Not a slave to comfort, but a vessel of purpose. Small, hidden decisions shape your destiny. Not the dramatic moments that everyone sees, not the loud declarations you make when the spotlight is on you, but the quiet, private choices you make when no one is looking. That is where your life is truly formed. That is where your future is forged. In the dark, in the mundane, in the ordinary. Decisions that seem insignificant, but over time they shape everything. It's easy to imagine that destiny is discovered in one big moment, one life. Changing opportunity, one dramatic breakthrough. But that's not how it works. You don't stumble into character. You don't suddenly become strong. You don't wake up one day and find yourself living with clarity, discipline, and integrity. That is not the result of one choice. That is the result of 10,000 small ones, daily ones, hidden ones, ones that no one else notices. But they are noticed by your soul. They are witnessed by your conscience, and they echo through your future. You want to know what kind of person you'll become. Look at your private habits. Look at what you do when the pressure is off. Look at how you act when no one is holding you accountable. That's who you really are. Not the version of yourself you show to the world, but the version that emerges when you're alone with your thoughts, your habits, your laziness, your appetite. That's the person who is being formed, moment by moment, decision by decision. You say you want to live a purposeful life. Then ask yourself this. What decisions did you make this morning? Did you get up when you said you would? Did you waste time scrolling, drifting, consuming? Or did you rise with conviction? Did you keep the promises you made to yourself? Or did you let them slide because it was inconvenient? Understand this. Those moments weren't neutral. They were formative. They were laying bricks in the foundation of your character. You see, every decision is a seed, and every seed bears fruit. You don't get to skip the law of sowing and reaping. When you make excuses today, you are building a habit of compromise. When you let small sins slide, you are numbing your conscience. When you repeatedly delay what needs to be done, you are shaping a life of passivity. The man who compromises in the small things will collapse in the big ones. The woman who neglects discipline in the hidden places will crumble under pressure when the spotlight comes. Don't think you can escape it. The harvest is coming, and you will eat the fruit of your hidden choices. This is why so many people are confused about why their lives don't change. They make resolutions. They talk about goals. They dream of transformation. But they ignore the reality that destiny is not discovered in intention. It's built in repetition. The person you are becoming is not determined by what you believe about yourself, but by what you repeatedly do. And those actions, those tiny choices made in silence, in routine, in secret, are forming your future whether you like it or not. There is no neutral ground. Every choice is movement. Every habit is direction. You are either growing stronger or weaker, sharper or duller, more focused or more distracted, and that movement begins with small things. The decision to go to bed early instead of watching another meaningless show. The decision to read something that builds your mind instead of numbing your brain. The decision to speak with kindness when it's easier to be sarcastic. The decision to put your phone down and be fully present. All small, all invisible, but all powerful. And here's the truth many don't want to face. Small disobedience always leads to big downfall. No one wakes up one day and ruins their life in a moment. The man who destroys his marriage, the leader who collapses under scandal, the woman who gives up on her calling. It didn't happen overnight. It was slow erosion. It was small compromises. Hidden habits, repeated patterns of neglect. And then the storm came, and the house fell, because the foundation was weak. Not because they didn't know better, but because they didn't choose better when it mattered most, in the quiet, early, hidden hours. You think you can hide from your choices. You think no one sees. You think the small things don't matter, but the small things are where your soul is exposed. You can fake it in public. You can pretend in crowds, but in the quiet, you can't lie to yourself. You know when you've chosen weakness. You know when you've bowed to comfort. And every time you do, your inner man is affected. Every time you say later instead of now, you become more likely to delay again. Every time you let distraction win, you lose focus for the future. This is how mediocrity is born, not in one moment, but in 1,000 hidden ones. You have to understand something about greatness. It's not loud. It's not glamorous. It's not about public success. It's about consistency. It's about self-mastery. It's about choosing what is right when no one claps, no one notices, no one celebrates. That's why few attain it, because few are willing to be faithful in the hidden places. Everyone wants the platform, but no one wants the process. Everyone wants the fruit, but no one wants to sow in silence. And yet that is where destiny is truly written. Character is not proven in crisis. Crisis reveals what's already there, and what's there is what you've built through your hidden decisions, the way you train when no one's watching, the way you think when you're alone, the way you steward your time when it's just you and the clock. All of that is working together to either prepare you or disqualify you for what's ahead, and most will disqualify themselves, not in some grand rebellion, but in quiet neglect. Your destiny is not waiting in some distant place. It's here, now, in the next decision you make, in the next thing you say, in the next temptation you resist or surrender to. That's where your future is being formed, not in the vague idea of who you hope to be one day, but in the concrete reality of who you are choosing to be today. The world is filled with people who had potential, people who were called, gifted, destined for impact, but who fell short because they treated their hidden life like it didn't matter. The ones who rise, the ones who last, the ones who build something eternal, they are the ones who treat the hidden places with reverence. They understand that the secret life is the true life. They know that if you win there, you can win anywhere, and let's be clear, this is not about perfection. You will fail, you will fall, but what matters is what you do next. Do you hide it, justify it, excuse it, or do you repent? Do you confront it? Do you course correct before the small failure becomes a permanent scar? That is the power of hidden decisions. They can redeem or destroy, but they are always forming something. This is the kind of life that few choose because it's hard, it's relentless, it requires humility, It demands that you admit that the biggest threat to your future is not the world out there. It's the war within, your habits, your appetites, your thought life, your laziness. And until you deal with that, until you take the hidden places seriously, you will always sabotage yourself. No matter how many opportunities come your way, there are no shortcuts, no hacks, no life coach, podcast, or planner can build your destiny for you. It must be built with your own hands in dark, with sweat and pain and sacrifice. And when you do it right, when you win the battle in the hidden places, you begin to live with integrity. That means wholeness, unity, no more double life, no more pretending, no more being one person in public and another in private. You become solid, consistent, real, and that kind of person cannot be shaken. So examine your life, not the version you show others, the real one. Look at your choices, look at your patterns, look at what you do when no one will ever find out, and ask yourself, are these decisions shaping the destiny I say I want? Or am I building a life of regret, one small compromise at a time? Because the truth is this, the hidden things will be revealed. What is done in secret will shout from the mountaintop. If not in this life, then in the next, and you cannot escape what you've been building. You will become the product of your repeated choices. The time is now. The moment is now. The next decision is where your future lives.